What's up everyone, this is Hitman with HitSquad Gaming, and in today's video I want to talk to you about the best beginner tips for Subnautica in 2022. Before we get started, I need to thank some of the redditors in the Subnautica subreddit for helping me come up with this list, so big thanks to those guys. Now, without further ado, let's dive right into this. Starting off with tip number one, which is going to be save constantly. Now, I know it's 2022 and every game should have autosave at this point, but this game does not have an autosave feature. You do not want to lose your hours of hard work over a crash or a death. Make sure you are constantly saving your game. I tend to save mine before I leave my base, before I leave my ship, even before I go into a deeper dive where I think I might die. I make sure I save all the time. Tip number two is going to be to carry a second oxygen tank. Early game, one of the hardest things is running out of oxygen very quickly. Now you can make a second tank and carry it with you and swap it out on the fly. It won't be full. It's going to use a little oxygen while you're underwater, even if you're not wearing it. But it could be the difference between life or death making it back to the surface. If you got that extra tank, you just swap out. You can keep exploring for just a couple more seconds to hopefully get you out of a sticky situation. This next tip will also help with exploration, and that is going to be to use brain corals to regain some oxygen. Now you can hover over the top of a brain coral, and when it ejects its bubbles, you can capture them into your oxygen tank, and it'll refill it ever so slightly, which could give you a few more precious seconds to get back to the surface, or dive deeper, whichever one you're preferring to do. So just keep an eye out for those brain corals, and you should be a little bit better off than if you just avoid them altogether. Alright, so tip number 4 refers to cave diving, and that is to use the rule of thirds. You want to use 1/3 of your oxygen to get in, 1/3 of your oxygen to explore, and save that last third of your oxygen to get back out of the cave. Now, this is where a second oxygen tank can really come in handy because you will inevitably get lost in some of these caves. So just try to keep in mind how much oxygen you've got as you enter that cave to know whether or not you're going to have even enough to explore while you're down there or not. Tip number 5 pertains to medkits. Now in the early game, you are going to end up getting bit by a fish, have one of those stupid crash fish blow up next to you. Either way, you're going to lose a chunk of your health pretty easily. Now the drop pod that you land in has a medical fabricator inside it that will constantly replenish with medkits over time. So anytime you're near your drop pod, make sure you jump in there, grab the medkit out, and then you can throw it in your storage or keep it on you, whatever, and it will automatically craft another one. So just keep an eye out for that. Tip number 6 is going to be keep some of your dead batteries. Now when I was first starting out in Subnautica, anytime my inventory would get full, I would throw batteries out left and right to the bottom of the ocean, only to realize later that I could use those dead batteries to craft power cells or other items that needed them during crafting. It does not differentiate between dead or full batteries when you're crafting, so you could easily use one of those dead batteries to craft that power cell and not have to waste the precious resource early on when you don't have a charger for them. Tip number 7 is to always carry a beacon with you once you have them unlocked. There's no map in this game, and so you are going to need to map it out yourself, and the easiest way of doing this is to carry beacons. When you find a new location, you drop your beacon there, name it whatever you like so you can remember where it's at, and just let it go. The map is pretty huge in Subnautica, and it's extremely deep, so you're going to get lost. You can look up maps on the Reddits or on Google or anything like that, but having a beacon to where you can see where you need to go is a lifesaver. If your screen's getting too cluttered with beacons, you can also go into your PDA and you can turn certain beacons on or off depending on what you're trying to do at the time. So just keep that in mind. Keep a beacon on you so when you find a new location, you've got an easy way of mapping it out for yourself. Tip number 8 is going to be to build a starter base as soon as you can. They'll unlock more storage options in the form of wall lockers, which will give you, I believe, double the space from the floating lockers. They'll also give you a safer place to regroup. Further on, you'll also have modules that you can put inside the base, such as the modification station. So you definitely want to have a place to put that. The earliest that I know of that you can get the multi-purpose room for your base is going to be the Jelly Shroom Cave, which, referring to the last tip, a good place to put a beacon. And it can also help if you take that second oxygen tank down there with you, because it is a pretty deep dive early game, but it can be gotten fairly quickly if you know where you're looking. So this next tip is more quality of life than anything, and that is to build a Grav Trap near your base. I hate nothing more than having to swim around and try to catch fish to take back to my base to cook. The Grav Trap will suck in any passing by fish and give you one central location to grab them all from. Usually it ranges anywhere between 5 to 15 fish anytime I'm there. It's a real cheap, easy build and an easy way to keep your food and water filled up at all times. Tip number 10 is to scan everything. Now the obvious reason for doing that is learning new blueprints, which you'll need to progress in the game. But the secondary reason is late game, getting titanium is actually harder for some reason than anything else. So if you come across a blueprint you've already scanned, if you scan it again, it'll give you 2 pieces of titanium. So you'll be able to build up a storage of titanium for the late game if you just scan everything in the early game and put it away somewhere. My final tip for you guys is to prioritize your loot runs. It'll give you some sense of direction in the game of knowing where you need to go, and it will also keep you from getting caught out fumbling through your inventory. If you just go out there, say, alright, I need to look for diamonds, but then you stop at every rock you pass by, you'll fill your inventory up pretty quickly, and then when you finally do get to the diamonds, you'll sit there and have to figure out what to drop and what to keep. All the while, there's stuff out there trying to kill you. So if you say, hey, I need to go get diamonds, if you just go get the diamonds, then once you've got the diamonds that you need, you can turn around and get whatever you want with what's left. But just prioritize what you're going after at all times. It will make life so much simpler in the long run. Alright everyone, that does it for my beginner tips for Subnautica in 2022. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to click that like button, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for more content like this in the future. Once again, thank you to everyone on the Subnautica subreddit for helping me generate this list, and I hope to see you guys next time.